Hello, guys. Good day. How are you today? Welcome to our YouTube channel again. Today, we'll be answering some questions. That's why we came on live. We'll be answering some questions some of our viewers asked us. One of our viewers asked us, how do you obtain overflight permits? Overflight permits. Okay, first of all, I want us to actually, this is for upcoming dispatchers or upcoming pilots or young people in the field that don't understand how these things go. At first, we are going to explain the meaning of overflight permit. I will start like this. For you to fly into certain countries, for you to overfly some airspaces, you need permission. For instance, any aircraft overflying Nigerian airspace needs permission to overfly Nigerian airspace. Any aircraft overflying Ugandan airspace need permission to overfly Ugandan airspace. As such, there are certain permits that are issued when you have applied. Yes, some companies do apply directly to the country's airspace management, and some for purpose of less stress, use authorized agents. We have agencies that are responsible for obtaining permits. Are you talking of landing permits? Are you talking of clearances to enter certain countries? Some countries like Egypt, for you to enter Egypt, even when your crew have a visa, even when your crew have a GenDeck, even when they have landing permit, there are additional security clearances required for your crew to pass point of entry into Egypt. Same thing applies for you to overfly certain countries, especially in Africa. Some countries in Europe, you don't need that. All you need is landing permit and to get your slot and everything. But most countries in Africa, for you to overfly their airspaces, you need to apply. In fact, some countries take longer time to release their permits, depending on the handling agent you are using. Yes, in the past, we use contact aviation, especially in Africa. They are very strong around Africa. They can get your permit in a very shortest notice. Aero World is another good agency. I'm not just advertising, I'm just telling you my own experience. We have Eurocontrol, we have different, we have Flynas, we have Jetex. Jetex is stronger in the Western countries. Not that they don't have links here in the African countries. But these people, especially if you have diplomatic flights, you have to carry a president of this country or this country, they need to know first, you need to apply. You send application to the agency or to the CIA or of that country you want to fly into overfly. You send application requesting for overfly clearance permit to overfly all those airspaces. They will request for your type of aircraft, request for the operator who is operating this flight, registration number of the aircraft operating this flight. Who are you picking? The names of the passengers, the names and the documents of the crew. You have to send the names of the crew, their valid passports, data page, their valid licenses and medicals, the passport data pages of the passengers you are intending to take. All these things are the information you collate and then you send out to the handlers. The handlers will submit this information to your agency, sorry, to the agency of the country you intend to overfly. And these guys will come out with certain alphanumeric numbers, which is the permit you are requesting for. This permit gives you the permission to overfly their country on that time and date you specified in your application. Meaning, if by any reason this thing changes, by any reason this your flight schedule changes, there is need for you to update the permit again. You need to send an update to your handlers. You need to tell your handlers that, okay, the client just decided that is not going to go on the specified date. This is the new date. You need to update, or you need to update your permit. For some countries, you need to pay additional money to update the permit. For some countries, you don't. So you need to know all this. For this is for corporate field. For scheduled operators, they get what we call block permit. They can get block permit for 3 months, for 6 months. I'm not sure if I've seen 1 year, but they get this block permit for scheduled operators like British Airways, you call it Air Peace, all those British, all those scheduled operators, they get all these things ready for a long period of time because you have a slot, you have a schedule. You leave Lagos so you land Dubai so time. You leave Caracas this time and you land Brussels this time. So you have a scheduled timings depending on your preferred times. Now, for non-scheduled general operation for charterers, you need to specify. You need to specify the time. You need to even specify the countries you're overflying. So this is where dispatchers and upcoming flight operations officers need to pay very close attention to. You need to pay close attention to this because if you don't pay close attention to all this, it's going to affect you. You need to pay close attention. Yes, because why do you need to pay close attention? If you go out like this and uh, if you go out like this and you can't, I mean, what do I mean to say? If you go out and for one reason or the other, you are not able to make your flight on that day, don't forget that you have already requested for a particular flight, right? And you requested for a particular date, which is what was in your application. If you don't go on that date, it means that all the slots, all the personnel that are meant to receive you, every services you are going to be using that have been put on ground, we need to be rescheduled. So that's the reason why for corporate operators, like people with private jets, executive jets, and all that, you need to always request in advance. Yes, you need to always request in advance. Because if you don't do that, this is where a dispatcher needs to pay attention. Dispatchers, please pay attention. This is no joke. I've had horrible experiences in this. It's not a joke. Imagine you are flying from Lagos to, let me say, Le Bourget. I'm talking of France. Yes, I'm flying and I'm going to overfly certain airspaces. And now I now made a mistake and I omitted a country. Imagine. Do you know that even when you have other countries, you have to look for a way to circumnavigate that country you don't have permit because you don't have authorization to overfly. And this is why you need to pay attention to details, because if you don't pay attention to details, it will get to the point that you'll be overflying that airspace. And what will happen? You'll be flying that airspace when you don't have permission to go. It will get to the time of the flight, the passengers are already in the airport, and you discover that, man, I don't have permission to overfly so and so airspace. So please, you need to actually pay good attention to this. Flight dispatch job is no joke. Don't allow people to belittle your job. No, we are planners. I can't forget a flight I did in Europe. It's a different ball game. You need to have a good knowledge of performance-based navigation. A flight from Le Bourget to Guernsey, from Guernsey to Larnaca, from Guernsey to Malta, from Malta to Larnaca. These are all Europe. You need to have a good knowledge of performance-based navigation. You need to understand airspace restriction. You need to understand route validations. You don't just plan anywhere and fly anyhow, like in Africa. I'm not saying Africa, this is just peculiarity, meaning that dispatchers and flight operation officers need to pay attention to details. You don't just go, you want to go and fly. There are different requirements in different continents, in different regions. You want to fly to southern China, you want to fly to northern China, or all these places you have mountainous areas. What is your drip down procedure? Have you studied the drill down procedure in an event of engine failure, in an event of loss of pressurization? What's your next plan? So you need to check all these. You need to dot all your I's and cross your T's. Don't just jump in and go and do one flight. No, it's wrong. So please, guys, for those who will be watching these videos, I don't know, I beg you guys, please make out time to study your flight. Understand the continent you are going. Understand the country that your client is requesting to go. Make proper findings. This airport you are flying into, is it airport of entry, or you need to go to another airport to clear custom and immigration? Check this airport. Is it open to you the time you are requesting to fly into that place, or you're just flying into an airport without making plans? You need to check all this. All these things need to be at your fingertips. After doing all these things, you check fuel availability. How can I be flying into an airport? There's no fuel in that airport. There's no fuel in a nearby airport. Are you going to get stuck? What is the endurance of your aircraft? So you need to make all these plans as a flight dispatcher, as a flight planner. You are the boss here. You have flown to this destination before you hand over the documents to the crew to fly. That means you've been there before the crew come there. By imagination, of course. Don't laugh at me. But that's the truth. So that is where you need to sit down and do your job as a professional. Stop all these things that we think is about filling flight plan, ATC, ICAO flight plan. It's more than that. In one of the videos I'm going to be doing any moment from now, I titled the performance dispatch. This is a place, if you are planning for wide body aircraft, this is for wide body aircraft. When you need to take into consideration elevation of that airport you're going to, you need to take into consideration some factors like temperature, because when the temperature increases, that means the performance will drop. Your regulated takeoff weight will reduce. That means your regulated takeoff weight is now going to be less than your maximum takeoff weight, which is going to affect your performance, which is going to affect the weight you can carry per day. So if you are in that kind of airfield, take for instance India, New Delhi, the temperature fluctuates, and maybe the temperature is about 40 degrees Celsius, and the maximum takeoff weight maybe for a 777 is about 390,000 kilograms. And by regulated takeoff weight, you can only take 320,000 kilograms. You need to know what to drop. You need to limit the load you are taking. You need to advise your loading department properly for adequate planning. Of course, you can't drop passengers. Of course, you can't drop fuel because you need fuel. So this is where all planners need to gather themselves together. Please, I beg you, if you're a flight dispatcher, if you're a pilot in a corporate field, most of them plan, you need to actually make inquiries, find out where you are going, what is required. Yes, some countries now like Zambia, for flight crew to fly into Zambia, you not only require GenDeck, now you now need a visa, a visiting visa. That is not like that in other countries. So that is more reason a dispatcher should check the entry requirement. You should check what it takes to get handling there. Do they have fuel? Have you organized fuel release for them? So you need to check. My brother that asked this question, I hope this answers your questions. But if you have more questions, please don't forget to put it in the comment section. Don't forget to ask more, because we are always here to answer your questions. I'm here and I'm glad to answer your question, because it's an opportunity for us to also learn more. Yes. So if you are flying and you want to overfly, you want to obtain overfly permit, let me summarize again. First, you need to find out where you're going, who is the operator. You supply all this information to your handlers. We usually get local handlers. Even in the smallest country you may think, you need local handlers, because when your crew will fly into that place, they are the only contacts you have. So please make sure you supply accurate information to your handlers. They will in turn use this information to process your permits. Informations like where is the aircraft coming from? Where is the aircraft registered? All the documents of the aircraft, the certificate of airworthiness, C of A, the certificate of insurance, the most current certificate of insurance. Of course, all the documents you submit to these agencies have to be correct. Certificate of insurance, certificate of airworthiness, certificate of registration, and all that. You need to supply all this information. Yes, you supply release to service certificate, you supply even maintenance record, you supply depending on what they request for. You supply all the crew documents, their validation, their medicals, and their valid passports, please. And then, of course, what is the registration of the aircraft? Who is the operator? What type of flight is that? What is the purpose of that flight? Is it a diplomatic flight? Is it an owner's flight? Is it a charter flight? All these informations are important because depending on who you are taking, we kind of expedite the processes of obtaining that permit. If it's a diplomatic citizen, of course, they are going to make inquiries and find out, why is this president coming to our country? Are they planning coup? That's my thinking, of course. I may be wrong, but man, please. So please, thank you so very much, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and let us know the areas you want us to stress more, the areas that are gray areas for you that you want us to kind of explain more. We are always here to help. We are always here to assist. I love this job and I do it with all my heart, and I don't care what it will take me, but I will always be here to answer your questions 24/7. Thank you, guys, and do have a wonderful, lovely weekend. Cheers.